Crypto market analysis. Fifth. Wait, I don't think people can. One moment. You can't hear you. Wait to address people. That's because I changed the output.
Oh. Ooh. I can hear
I should be
myself
able to
now.
hear you.
Hello, hello. I can hear myself echo a little, but whatever. I'll deal with it.
I don't understand why I'm. Can you try
Right?
muting video?
Let's see. Yeah.
Even
Mute,
muted
unmute.
in video ninja, but that
Yeah, weird. Whatever. I'll just deal with it.
I'm also not like
Yeah.
you mute the tab.
Let me. Yeah, I did. Let me mute this one. Mute this entirely. There we go. Okay, that's totally what it was. I just muted myself, but not the tab. Okay. Well, that's figured out. What's up,
Oh,
Random King?
well, you're muted
He
on my end.
says,
It's probably because you didn't mute.
yeah.
You'd never have sound coming through video.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I was like unmuted on my end. Let's see. Let me check all my audio. Okay, cool. There we go. Now, let's take a look at what's going on. Oh, nice. Getting ready to work from home for the next month. You got a little work from home gig, huh? That's fun. Been a while since I did one of those, but I always liked it. It was like remote connecting to some like way better computer than the one I was using. So it always felt really fun, like working on pretty intense VFX stuff, but like from my laptop at my like kitchen table. So I guess you have to like keep half an eye on your son while you're working. That's kind of annoying. That might make working from home a hassle. But yeah, let's take a look. This week was a bloodbath in the altcoin market. I mean, looking at the Bitcoin market right now on the weekly chart, it doesn't really look like crazy activity. But looking at the weekly chart here on ETH, you can see we had a huge spike already this week, and basically dropped below where when we were talking about if this was a cup and handle pattern. So this wick would have wiped that out entirely. We basically whipped all the way back down to the previous support level at 21.35. It's crazy. It happened very quickly too. So if I look in like the 15-minute time range or something like that, you can see that like two candles make up that entire move down. So in about 30 minutes, the altcoin market dropped 20%. That happened 2 days ago, I think. So intense. Definitely invalidating some of our more bullish, like short-term projections. Jumping back to the weekly, where we're looking for basically a bounce on our longer-term trend line here to kind of push and create, get back to the old all-time high. This past, sell-off here has kind of like signaled more of a slower bleed, possibly down to like retest this low again in the coming weeks or so, and then hopefully continue making either a double bottom or a higher low, and then continuing its push up on the weekly chart. But definitely taking the wind out of the bullish sails a little bit this past this huge like sell off here. I think a lot of it was driven by market uncertainty caused by like tariff and trade war rumors, especially leading into the market open, since this was happening on Sunday before the stock markets were open. And the crypto markets don't close and generally experience pretty unmitigated versions of like a delta of what's happening to the general markets. By which I mean they react harder. There's no circuit breakers, and then on Sunday, kind of like right when this sell-off started happening, if we go back to the daily chart and see that big, wick, that was on Sunday during pre-market hours, basically after the future markets opened. So on Sunday, the futures trading starts before the actual markets open, and the futures opened with a gap down. If we look at like the future markets on the like 4-hour chart or something like that, you can see here on Sunday when it did open, it opened with a huge gap down and continuing to sell off throughout the day. This is all pre-market trading, but that kind of signals the market sentiment for the market open. And so the market opened, obviously. Let's go to the SPY. Also with a similar gap down like that, but then started to recover a little bit throughout the trading day, almost back to where it started, which now is starting to show you, like lower highs, lower lows, and starting to reverse a trend here too. So in the medium term, we're also looking for this market to kind of continue down, dragging this crypto market down with us. But a lot of this is uncertainty because of fiscal policies, like macroeconomic stuff. And these markets, like I said, are unregulated, don't have circuit breakers, and generally will be incredibly volatile. So nothing too unlike usual. If we're zooming out again, like I said, we're looking at the weekly chart. We have plenty of room down for Bitcoin still to stay bullish and kind of recover its strength here to continue to its next leg up. But again, ETH and a lot of altcoins now starting to look like their coming week is going to be a little bit more of an uphill battle. So with that in mind, I think let's jump into what we want to do with our DeFi positions. But before that, I want to jump into like some of the options of how to participate in DeFis across the different blockchains. I feel like since we've been talking about Wax here all the time, I think it's an interesting like idea to look at like how do we do what we've been doing on Wax, but across the metaverse of blockchains that now exists. So especially with like markets being so volatile and stuff, and trading opportunities presenting themselves kind of, especially in more immature markets, it could be fun to kind of like understand where to look and what to look at when it comes to trading crypto from your wallet's DeFi style, not just on Wax. So with that in mind, let's start on Wax. What we've, just to kind of get a quick recap of what we know how to do basically. So with Wax, our kind of main home base for trading is Alcor Exchange. What we can do here, we're pretty familiar with, I think, is the swap market. So you can choose, your assets like Wax and USDC, and then you can, sell 1,000 Wax and get a quote for that in dollars and make a swap with after having connected your wallet here. On top of having this kind of a swap market, Alcor's actually got quite a leg up on a lot of the competition by offering a continuous order book spot market. That's basically, here's a spot market there's a pair which make up an order book. So let's do the same thing, Wax and USDC. And you can see now, instead of having a swap that instantly settles for a quote that, it presents me, now I have the ability to see here the buy and sell orders once they actually populate. It's kind of chugging along. I think on the right time, we also see like a feed of all the trades that are happening. And then down here, we are able to set orders at specific prices. It would be nice if this actually updated, but you kind of get the idea. We're just trying to, doing a cap of what's possible. The next thing that we've been doing quite a bit of is liquidity pools. So if we look at like on the earn tab, there's pools. You can add liquidity to different swap markets. This is for, instead of what I was just talking about, the spot market where you're making limit orders and there's a continuous order book of those limit orders sitting there waiting to be filled. The swap market is the first thing we're looking at, where it automatically gives you a quote, and that quote comes from the available liquidity that's being supplied to these pools. Those pools are something that we've been using our DeFi wallet to kind of participate in, earn some rewards and all that stuff with the farms, which is also all kind of self-contained here on the Alcor exchange. So if I look at, there's options to earn yield on top of liquidity pool positions as an incentive to participate. And that's pretty much everything that you can do on Alcor as far as trading. And then, of course, I guess liquid staking. This is also wrapped into this protocol, and where you can, stake your wax and get liquid staked wax, and unstake in the opposite direction as well. But let's take a look now at that same kind of like option on the more popular blockchains. So the main exchange out there is Uniswap. It's like the OG, the kind of original player in the space of automated market making, which is that swap trading that we're looking at. So if I go to trade and swap, by default, I'm let's see, I'm trying to look for like a dark mode because I know I'm hurting people's eyes. Let's see. No, I give up on finding it. Oh well. Well, by default, it's a very bright website. But you can see, just like last time, there's a swap. Instead of using, we can do literally the same thing. We can do wax P. Or I guess it's wax now.
Wax P.
Yeah, you're right. Here it is. So wax P, we can literally do the same trade. 1,000 wax P, we should get 31. And then like now if we double that back, over to Alcor on the swap tab, you can see, we're able to kind of do identical things that we already understand how to do over here on Wax, but now on ETH. So you can see here, I would get 3175, yeah, ish. And then over here, I'm getting 3167, slightly different. Of course, this one's going to cost me about $1.13 in gas. Whereas, Wax is pretty much free if you have a stake in the CPU resources. Anyway, just like with on Wax, you can come up here to pools and you can participate in liquidity pools the same way that you would on Wax. And then rather than, I guess it's not quite the same, on Uniswap, there isn't a direct place for earning incentivized rewards like the farms on Alcor. But that doesn't mean that that's not possible on Uniswap. Rather, the farm itself is part of a different protocol. In this case, Merkle is one of the most popular incentive protocols for Uniswap. It is Merkle.angle.money. It's built by the Angle protocol, but you can see, here's all the different blockchains this operates on. If we just go to Ethereum right now, and then type in like Uniswap and filter. Now you can see all of these are different liquidity pools on Uniswap. And on the right here, you can see, this is an APR reward that's being paid to that liquidity, and how it's being paid. And if you click on it, it'll even tell you, 4 days left for this reward. 2 days ago, it was this. So we can hide the inactive ones. We can see, how much longer the rewards are being paid out, and along what liquidity lines. So you can see this one, for example, is being paid 20% of the APR of these rewards incentives is paid to the fees, and then 40 and 40 are paid to both sides of the liquidity. So with a position like this, you could go like a very wide liquidity range, like 0 to infinity, and expect to earn, at least 80% of the rewards that the APR is projecting, which is 80%. if most of the fees were being paid, or most of the rewards was paid to the fees, then you'd be more inclined to make a tighter range so that you get a bigger share of the fees and therefore also a bigger share of the incentives. So Merkle will actually split up the way that it incentivizes liquidity pools, not just across, liquidity depth lines, but also across liquidity volume lines. And so even with a very small position in a pool, if your liquidity range is targeted in range appropriately, you can actually boost the APR of the reward yields projected by this front end here. And of course, if we're not going to limit the blockchains, we can find some absurd shit, just like you can on any blockchain, like crazy high APRs and stuff. Like here's one on Base Chain. Here's a couple on I think this is Blast or Mode. Oh yeah, Mode. Mode I know just had one of their big money markets had an exploit happen where they accidentally added the wrong type of wrapped Bitcoin to the money market, and the owner of the fake contract was able to just steal all the money. It's pretty bad. Yeah, like they added LBTC, but it was like a scam LBTC coin. So somebody created $27 million worth of scam tokens and then just borrowed all the other tokens against it. Pretty big fuck up. I forget the name of that. But yeah, so anyway, now we've looked at Uniswap, which is the main OG player, and its incentive hub, which is Merkle. Uniswap doesn't just work. So if I go back to trade here, it doesn't just work. You can see it doesn't have like a option to change blockchains, but it works across a lot of different blockchains, and it even works across chain in the sense that like if I were to say take an Ethereum position here on Arbitrum chain, so you can see this little this is Ethereum on Ethereum mainnet, this is Ethereum on Ethereum on Arbitrum. I could swap that into any other token on Arbitrum chain here, like you can see, or I could swap it into ETH on a different blockchain. Like if I wanted to go say to the base chain, I would do 0.015. Let's say that's $41 worth of ETH, and you can see I'm getting 41. Like it's less than a penny to move between two different blockchains, and I'm not having to deal with a bridge protocol. To like you would if you're moving, for example, Woof token off of Wax over to Solana or Base or something. You're having to go through the bridge and wait and everything. This is a simple swap transaction that works across blockchains. So Uniswap, really, really solid protocol. It also has built-in limit orders. If you click on this limit tab here, you're able to actually post orders just like you would on the Alcor spot markets. But instead of those limit orders becoming part of a separate continuous order book, like is the case on Alcor, these limit orders are basically watching the liquidity pools of the swap market to look for the conditions to be met and for the orders to trigger. It's a really interesting kind of way to trade on Ethereum mainnet, especially because these limit orders include free gas, free in the sense that the spread of the value of your limit order executing pays for the gas fees, versus that you have to pay gas fees from your wallet when you make these limit orders or when they execute. So it's interesting, but it's also still subject to Ethereum gas. So I would still not participate in this on Ethereum mainnet unless you're doing this with a relatively, large amounts of value, like at least over $1,000 per transaction, because the fee structure on Ethereum mainnet is still not really facilitating, smaller amounts of value for trading like this. For those smaller amounts of value, you want to go to side chains. So we can do a quick example of this if I'm trading ETH. Let's say ETH from ETH mainnet into just USDC, which is kind of like the standard. Okay, so here, let's say if I do 1 ETH, you can see this transaction gets me 27.70-ish US dollars. This is on Arbitrum. It's costing me less than a penny in gas. The same transaction performed on Ethereum mainnet like this. Gets me also 2770, but costs significantly more in gas. It looks about like $7 in gas for this one, versus 1 penny. So if you are going to do smaller transactions, using side chains is the move. And to get into and out of side chains has never been easier, because you can take your Ethereum from Ethereum mainnet or from whatever sidechain it's currently on, and then you can see here, swap it across networks. So you can jump over to Arbitrum. I think this is Optimism. You can jump over to Base Chain. Anyway, all these different blockchains, if you want to go move your Ethereum to those side chains to then pay much, much lower gas fees to do the same type of trading on the exact same protocol, still using Uniswap. The next blockchain I wanted to talk about is going to be Base. Base is available on Uniswap as well. So if I were to, go to, let's do ETH, and then on here, I guess if I want to change chains here, Base chain, you can see, I can swap my ETH into USDC on Base chain, no problem. If I do my max, it looks like I have about $8 worth of ETH, which is plenty because the fees cost very little. Anyway, but Base chain, we want to see also, when you're looking, here's a good resource, is DeFi Llama. When you're looking at a blockchain that you're going to try, let's say I moved some of my liquidity over to Base chain. Let's say we're looking for somewhere transact on Base chain. I'm going to go to DeFi Llama, and under the DeFi tab here, go to chains. And then on chains, you can kind of get a quick overview of the blockchains, the layer 2 levels and all that stuff that exist, and how much liquidity is on those blockchains. So looking at the Ethereum mainnet, you can see the TVL, which is total value locked within this blockchain, is $57 billion. So there's deep liquidity available here. The second largest, blockchain layer as far as liquidity is Solana with $9.5 almost $1 billion. And then Bitcoin actually has quite a few billions as well. But if we look at what's going on with Bitcoin, I'm gonna let's say I'm gonna middle mouse click here so I can open this in a separate tab. But you can see where's the value. So once I click on, by the way, once I click on this chain, it opens up and shows me the metrics of how that liquidity is broken down. You can see that, first of all, a lot of this liquidity came into the chain very recently. And let's take a look at where it actually resides. And you can see 5 billion of it, which is almost all of it, is the Babylon restaking. So this isn't a DeFi ecosystem. This is more or less wrapped Bitcoin to be imported onto other blockchains. It's a similar one, like TBTC, for example, is a Bitcoin token that's one-to-one pegged to Bitcoin that you can trade on the Ethereum and the EVM chains. And so the liquidity for that's actually on the Bitcoin blockchain, which is almost $500 million, exists on the Bitcoin blockchain and is denominated here. In case you were curious why Bitcoin is number 3 in DeFi TVL. But let's say we go to Base chain, right? So Base chain is the 6th biggest as far as total value locked. There's $3 billion in there. We can, I think, find Wax on here too somewhere. Let's see. I might have to actually type it in. There it is. Wax is 170th as far as total value locked, with $1.3 million in liquidity. And if we do the same thing we wanted to do here, let's take a look at Wax. Where is Wax's liquidity? You can see Alcor is the biggest front runner here, $643,000 being reported there. If we go to Alcor and look at its analytics, that is probably like orders to buy, like buy orders or whatever, limit orders, or the contract like payouts and stuff.
I think that might have been outperforming Taco as well.
Jesus. Let's see. If we go to analytics though, here, look, we can see total value locked 640,000. So it's basically all this value in all these liquidity pools. If we go here, we can see 643,000. It sees that. Next biggest protocol on Wax as far as liquidity looks like is Fusion, which we're familiar with. That's the protocol that makes LS Wax. And then Atomic Hub is listed as a DEX, but I guess it's because they're trading tokens for other tokens, but those tokens are NFTs. Alien Worlds, oh wow, the treasury still pretty flush, it looks like. And then you got Wax is coming up 5th. Nefty Blocks, DeFi Box is top 10. I guess top 10 out of 11 total protocols. But yeah, so you can see kind of a quick overview of like, where should I look? So basically, if you're brand new to Wax and you came to DeFi Llama, I clicked on Wax and we're like, what should I be looking at on Wax? Okay, well, Alcor Exchange. And I can come here, click the website, and it takes me to the Alcor Exchange. So even though I don't know shit about Wax, I can find the most popular exchange pretty simply, right? So now let's do that same thing that we just did with Wax as an example, but for Base Chain. Since Base Chain is one that we're bridging into from Wax, it's one that I'm a bigger fan of than Solana, which would be the other one, but we can do Solana next. But let's do Base Chain for now. If we look at Base Chain, you can see the different protocols on Base Chain that hold its billions, $3 billion in liquidity, are distinctively led by Aerodrome. You can see the TVL here is almost $1 billion compared to Uniswap, only with closing on $500 million. So this one's almost doubled the second place kind of person. Then we got Morpho, which you can also see the category of. Morpho is a money market. Looks like we got $400 million in Morpho on Base Chain. AAVE is another money market, similar performance there. So you can kind of get a sense of like, okay, if I want to do some money market activity, I might use Morpho, I might use AAVE or Moonwell. And then, Pendle is a yield aggregator, a really, really cool one. But yeah, you can kind of see where everything is. But let's take a look at what's going on with a DEX like Aerodrome. Aerodrome is the number one DEX on Base Chain, as you just saw, by a massive margin. And so similar to what we've seen on other DEXs, so here's Aerodrome's kind of homepage. It's not the most beautiful site, I have to say. I'm not a big fan of this one. So here we go. Looking at, I got sidetracked by reading a comment. So this is Aerodrome's homepage. I'm going to click on swap, and just like we're kind of familiar with on any of these swap tabs, we get the same kind of overview of like one token into another token. And let's say if I want to do just like we've been doing it with the examples, ETH into USDC, we can do, 0.1 ETH. It's getting a little orange because I don't actually have 1 ETH in my wallet, but it'll find me a quote, a trade route here into USDC. It's nothing we haven't seen before, basically. So yeah, there you go. I get 2780. Looks like ETH is climbing a little bit. Looking through all these, you have all the different like tokens that are available here. Just like any blockchain, I would say. Specifically like Wax, when I'm trading on Wax, I'm not necessarily only trading on Alcor, although I might as well be because of how concentrated all the like platform's liquidity is compared to what is available on the rest of the market. But using an aggregator like Wax on Edge gives you the ability to route your trade across the entire blockchain versus just what's available within this one market, even though this market's worth almost $1 billion. We'll look at the aggregator after this, but either way, the swap market here is familiar to us, right? This is the same thing we can see at any blockchain, right? But the big difference in the way that Aerodrome works compared to something like Uniswap is that it supplies rewards for liquidity, similar to how the farms on Alcor supply rewards for liquidity. So if I go to the liquidity tab on the top here, you can see, here's an APR but next to any of these liquidity pools. If I, click on the APR, it'll actually organize them based on what the highest one is. And a lot of these are over 9,000, which looks fantastic, but also needs to be quantified here. When you look at the type of liquidity this is, concentrated volatile liquidity is effectively V2, or I guess V3 liquidity if we're talking about it in terms of Uniswap. That means you're setting a maximum and a minimum range. It's not just 0 to infinity, which is what we're also used to doing, you know, on Alcor, although usually we do 0 to infinity. But the point of me saying that is that this APR is calculated based on a liquidity depth that only includes the current tick of liquidity range. So basically, if 100% of your liquidity for this pair was supplied at the current spot price with a max and minimum range being the current spot price, then you would be making this APR. If you actually created a liquidity pool with like a normal range, it wouldn't be anything near this. And I guess I can show you that if I go to deposit on a pool like this and then say new deposit, you can see that depending on my range here, if I go custom range, for example, and then say, let me say switch to ETH. I want the price in ETH. Let's say if my range is, let's go full range, min maximum range, right? Now you can see my APR would actually be 106%, not 9,000 something. So that's important to note when you're looking at the liquidity on this. You know, like the APRs here are very misleading in that sense. The only times you can really rely on them is if we're talking about volatile liquidity. So if you say volatile and you look at basic volatile as the label, this APR is actually accurate, because basic volatile liquidity is V2 liquidity, where you are supplying between 0 and infinite. And that's also why if you look at the pool balance, both sides of these pools are going to be equal to each other. Whereas the other ones maybe aren't necessarily 100% even. Either way, there's quite a bit of APR being paid as rewards on this DEX. And the other thing that's going on here is the voting. So the rewards for these pools, you know, is paid in AERO token. All these APRs that you can earn for all these different liquidity positions, no matter what tokens you're supplying in liquidity, your reward is always AERO token, and you're getting it paid in, you know, this APR. The portion of the fees that you're earning from people actually trading against your liquidities, those are getting siphoned off. And if we go over to this voting tab, those are being paid to people who have staked AERO. So the same token you're earning from liquidity, if you stake it, you can then vote with it. And it also becomes locked, by the way. If you stake it for full voting weight, it's locked for 4 years. But what happens then is you can take your locked tokens, and you can see here's a voting APR, basically. These will definitely change. You can see right now it's ridiculously high. But you can see every Wednesday, so today was the day, it just reset. So 7 days from now, there's going to be another vote. And based on that vote, these pools are going to get paid out APR rewards for liquidity providers. And these APRs for these pools, you can see if you're looking at the incentives tab, a lot of these don't have any actual incentives. So the actual, you know, bribe or whatever to the people who are voting on these pools is being paid for by the volume of trading that happened on that pool in the previous week. So you can see, for example, this pool that's USD Plus and Bitcoin, it generated almost $1,000 worth of trade fees, 375 USD Plus and 0.00639 Bitcoin. This is going to be paid out to anybody who votes for this pool this week. And so it's going to incentivize people to vote rewards to the pool, so the people who are supplying this liquidity are continued to get paid their rewards, and the fees that are generated by actual trading volume on those pools are getting paid to the people voting for the rewards, getting paid to these pools. So it's a little bit more of a convoluted system compared to, like, for example, Alcor, where the liquidity provider is also earning all of the liquidity yield, but the incentive that you can get for participating in the pool is paid by, you know, the project or someone who maybe owns the token. That paying for the project or by the project for this liquidity participation is also possible on Aerodrome. So if we scroll down further, I'm going to find, or I don't need to scroll down, I'll just click on incentives here. You can see incentives can also be added. So like this pool, for example, it earned almost $18,000 in trade fees this past week, and those are now being paid to voters. But on top of that, the project or anybody could do this, is also offering an additional $7,000 worth of OX tokens, which will also be paid to the voters. That increases the voters' APR here and also entices more people to vote for this pool, increasing the liquidity APR for the coming week, which hopefully increases the volume and in turn increases the APR. So it's a way for projects to kind of like incentivize the growth of their liquidity environments. On top of that liquidity environment kind of paying for itself to continue running. It's an interesting process. And like I said, to participate in the voting side of this, which, like, for example, if I look at my vote, I voted this week, I voted for Euro and Bitcoin. And right now it says it would be 97. But if I go, let's see, I voted for this. Like I said, the vote ended like an hour ago. So I got, looks like about 20 euros for this week's vote with my, so $21.70. And that's just for voting for this pool for 1 week. On top of the voting, my actual locked position in these AERO tokens, which you can see here, it's locked for 4 years, is also earning an APR. And that is been distributed as 14 AERO tokens. So I can claim and lock that to add it to my voting weight, so that over time, as more AER tokens are being paid out, my voting weight should hopefully keep at least pace with the inflation rate of AER tokens entering the open market. It's an interesting concept. I don't know. I've been participating in this from the beginning. This 2000-ish AERO, I bought this for like $100 when the market started. So the fact that I'm making $20 a week with what cost me $100 back then is pretty wild. Right now, I think this amount of AERO tokens would cost like $1,500 or something. And then the downside of this is that like I can't really sell these. They're locked for 4 years, but the way that they're locked is into an NFT. So this locked position is actually an NFT that I have in my wallet. I can take that NFT and sell it on an NFT marketplace. So it is actually possible to sell this, but it's a zero liquidity market, which you're all familiar with as anyone who's traded NFTs in the past. You know that like, yeah, your NFT might be worth, whatever this is worth, like $1,500, but you have to find a buyer to pay that. You can't just sell it to the liquidity pool. So that is definitely a downside, especially when the markets move as much as they've been moving lately. These locked tokens start selling at a premium discount, basically. So like even if it would cost, let's say $1,500, you'd be lucky to be able to sell something like this for $1,000, because you're selling it and the buyer, it would still remain locked for 4 years, or at least until the vesting term ends. Either way, interesting. Really a big fan of this. The next thing I wanted to look at is, or do you want to do a giveaway before we jump into another blockchain?
Do a giveaway.
Yeah, let's do.
Husking was asking which new and upcoming chains are you?
Okay, I'll do that after. Let's do a giveaway, and then I'll look at let's look at 2 blockchains that are or dexes that are doing shit that I'm pretty excited about. See,
Exclamation point Neon. If you, I feel like Base is still kind of a new blockchain.
Base is definitely the one. That's why I wanted to look at Base first. Is like that's one of the most exciting ones in my opinion. It has a lot of potential to onboard a lot of real people, and then I think it has a legitimate, well-established establishment player behind it, and that I think is interesting and
look at
worth participating in.
BSC is kind of like a similar thing where it's a decentralized chain backed by a centralized exchange, and BSC is massive.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I would say there's some other didn't work out as well. Like TRO wasn't as big as I thought it would be.
Yeah, same. I thought so too. Although CRO, I'm not completely discounting yet. I think their biggest issue is their connection to the rest of DeFi is still very centralized through their centralized exchange. So, like, if you have like $5,000 or $10,000 or something on their DeFi ecosystem, and you want to move it over to like Base Chain or Wax Chain or whatever, you have to go through Crypto.com, like your account basically, unless you want to eat some serious slippage. And that kind of sucks because 10 grand isn't like enough to justify taking a huge price impact just because there's not enough liquidity.
I think long term though, that's fine. I think DeFi is still pretty niche. Like a lot of people
Yeah,
use the Crypto.com app, and like crypto is pretty massive as far as centralized stuff goes.
yeah, I agree.
They can like build that into their app somehow. That would reach and totally DeFi stuff.
Yeah, I kind of agree. I think the DeFi thing is, I mean, I love it, and I think it's worth people like being into and excited about. But at the same time, it's like most people are only going to have like a bank, like checking and saving account when they use their bank. Most people aren't going to participate in, money markets and any of this other shit anyway in like traditional finance either. So just because it's a DeFi option doesn't necessarily mean it's like, oh, it's available to everyone. Yeah, but like not everyone is looking for those, high finance tools. It's a very niche market to begin with, even when it isn't on crypto. But yeah, Base definitely also has like its own little meme coin community. I think I have. Let me check.
NFTs too.
Yeah, I have some NFTs on there. I wonder what they're worth.
Cotton Stock saying Roman Punks is going to base.
That's cool. I think like the NFTs, if I was going to do like NFTs today, I'd probably consider Base as like one of the top chains to launch on.
Yeah. I feel like Polygon's kind of slowed down as far as NFT hype. I mean, NFT hype is slowed down on all chains. I haven't heard much about Polygon lately.
Ooh, I have an offer on this NFT, $418. Okay. What did I pay for this? I paid 0.094 ETH, and somebody's offering me 1.5 ETH.
Another chain.
Not bad.
Another chain that we're kind of interested is like the Sodi chain.
Yeah. Yeah, that one's still in testnet. I haven't launched anything official yet. Once they do launch, I definitely want to go over that one too, because that's
what new and upcoming chains. So that would both new and upcoming doesn't mean it exists yet necessarily.
That's a good point. Yeah, the Sony chain definitely is part of that conversation. The Sony chain is an implementation of the Optimism stack, so the same as Arbitrum or Base. So if we get familiar with Base or Arbitrum or those stuff, in the meantime, we'll basically be familiar with how to use the Sony chain as well. I will also say that lately, especially the Sunday, for example, when the crypto market was kind of like on fire for a hot moment, the volume of transactions was really, really high on the Ethereum EVM, which stands for Ethereum Virtual Machine. So all the layer 2s and stuff combined. And several of the like layer 2 chains, like Arbitrum, for example, experienced some absurdly expensive price increases in the cost of gas. So like I saw like closing one of my positions would have cost me like $40 in ETH just to broadcast the transaction, and that's on layer 2. At the same time, over on Base chain, that same type of transaction on the same protocol cost like less than 2 cents. So I definitely have noticed that over the last few weeks, or last few months rather, when there is high activity spiking happening, the Base chain actually can handle the spike without spiking its transaction fees, and that's really important when you're trying to make time sensitive, position changes.
Or Arbitrum the same way, or just Base?
Yeah, Arbitrum was more expensive. Base was
How
much
does that
cheaper.
make sense with the same protocol?
It's like based on the way that like they validate. So they have a network of validators that are, charged gas, and they do have to pay gas on the main network, but basically what my assumption is that base, like Coinbase, is subsidizing the cost of that so that their blockchain doesn't get bogged down. But yeah, here's some NFTs I have on Base and I guess Arbitrum and stuff. Yeah, this is the Mochimons. They're still cooking, I guess. Only 8% listed. But yeah, we're on Base chain. The next thing I want to do is like look at a couple of like chains that I'm excited about what they've been building, and upcoming stuff. We mentioned was like the Sony chain. I think one of the ones that's actually worth mentioning here is the Hydra, which now goes by Hydration. But I think this is a DEX project that I think is really succeeding in its vision and hasn't strayed from that vision much since inception. It's just kind of like created this plan and has stuck to it. And I think it's worth mentioning what they've built here. So let's look at this really quick. Hydra is a DEX, so a decentralized exchange protocol that runs on the Polkadot like parachain. It basically is its own blockchain within the Polkadot parachain infrastructure ecosystem. So this means that you can move Polkadot parachain assets into and out of this chain without them having to be wrapped or duplicate assets. And then it also means that the chain itself has its own gas infrastructure and volume and all that stuff. The DEX itself has a very unique way of accepting liquidity compared to every other protocol we've looked at and everyone that I'm actually familiar with, where we have to add to liquidity pool, which is either 2 or more tokens. So I mean, if we're looking at a pool like the Curve pools or the Balancer pools and stuff, sometimes you can have like 3 or 4 or many tokens in a single liquidity pool. Like AAVE money markets also will have like their entire money market as a single pool. But unlike all of that, this protocol, this hydration, accepts liquidity in single-sided tokens. So if we go to liquidity and all pools, you can see that the pools themselves here are single assets for the most part. I mean, the 2 pool, for example, is USDT and USDC. But you can see like the DOT, which is Polkadot's main asset, it's just DOT. And there's, like $12 million in liquidity staked here. There's an incentive to be to participate in this liquidity. So you can see, for example, the stablecoin incentive is huge, 30% for stablecoin liquidity. That's awesome. But you can also see there's a bunch of these different, like these are only the liquidity pools. So I guess this is mostly what's available to trade here. That's like white lists front and center of the DEX. Everything that gets added to the pool, because you can there's 20 pages of additional isolated pools here. These do have to be paired with liquidity, so you can't just add some shitcoin and then drain these main asset pools. But what's happening here is you're adding, for example, Bitcoin. You're adding only Bitcoin to the liquidity pool, and then the entire rest of this liquidity pool becomes the counterpart to your Bitcoin position. And as your Bitcoin, for example, sits here and earns 2.2% from trading fees, it also will generate, either debt that's represented by the total, pool. So basically, you get, the token is called H2O. You get H2O token, which is basically an index token that represents the rest of this pool if your liquidity pair is outperforming the rest of the market. So if I look at, for example, my positions and then look at like my Polkadot position here, you can see, let's see, not exit, show positions. Here they are. So you can see initial value of this position I had 14.28 dot, and now I have slightly less. And that has to do, that's like the impermanent loss equation. And this is just from like trade fees. On top of this, of course, I've also been earning the APR here, which is claimed separately, not auto compounded into this pool. But you can see if for example, my position was up, I would have a position here in H2O tokens. It's a bad time to kind of do this example because the whole crypto market kind of took a massive shit. So a lot of my stuff is going to be under
the Pulse chain.
Oh yeah, Pulse chain is again like a more isolated. It's harder to get into and out of that with the DeFi routes. A lot of it is through centralized exchanges, and then it's a big part of Pulse chain has to do with their kind of founder and creator making a lot of more or less unilateral decisions to hopefully bring up the value of the Pulse chain assets. We can look at Pulse chain in a second, but yeah, I guess let's finish on hydration and I'll look at Pulse chain and then what was the other one? But yeah, let's look at and a couple other DeFi protocols.
Press release. There's really Sony's Layer 2 blockchain goes live.
Oh shit! Oh yeah, let's look at that too. But let's finish on this one first. So basically, they've built this DEX with what they call the Omni Pool, where all the liquidity of these main pairs is basically supplied single-sidedly, and then counterparted with the rest of this Omni Pool. Part of the infrastructure here is that every transaction, if I go to do a swap, so this should be familiar, just like any other DEX. So if I do, for example, I have some HDX, if I say 10,000 of these, I could swap those for 83 USDT. I could also, swap them for any of these other tokens. Like if I wanted to do Solana, that's an option too. And then this Solana is, wormhole wrapped Solana or Moonbeam. So I can, I can bridge this stuff back too. If I go cross chain, I can bridge from let's bridge from hydration to Solana.
I do think BuzzKing saying it's hard to determine which chains will succeed or even be useful just looking at the tokens. I feel like that's kind of a good thing to go over because, I mean, let's say Alcor had the most revolutionary DEX upgrade of all time.
Yeah.
It would still fucking suck ass compared to things with more locked liquidity. So, like, this really deep tech stuff, I think, while interesting, doesn't necessarily explain to the layman why the chain is going to succeed or be useful. This is only for people super deep into the weeds. And I'd say stuff like Polkadot having side chains and like brands like Mythical building on it, to me, is more exciting than any of this stuff. That's like
Mythical builds on this, and then that's like if you take your Mythical tokens out to the Mythical blockchain, you can trade them on this DEX from your wallet because this DEX is also a Polkadot sidechain, just like Mythos. And so, that I think is exciting. I think the main exciting thing about this DEX, I feel like I haven't touched on, and I think I am getting a little bit too deep into the technical thing about what they've built here. So I'll just kind of keep this next part brief to kind of like sum up what I really like about this project and why I'm excited about it moving forward. So you see already I have the trade swap, right? This is not anything new. Every fucking DEX out there does this, but what they've built here on top of that is the ability to DCA, like dollar cost average trade. Like if I take, let's say, 1,000 US or 100 USDT or something, I can over the period of, let's do 8, so 2 months. Over the period of 2 months, every 1 day, buy Bitcoin. And then I could schedule this like basically with a single transaction, and then it would buy $33 for Bitcoin every 2.0. That's because I have it on 18 days here. So it would buy $1.78 worth of Bitcoin every day for the next 1 month and 4 weeks, for the next 8 weeks. And I can do that with a single transaction from a DeFi wallet. That's really, really cool. The next thing they have here is Yield DCA.
Does it take gas every time it buys?
It's like wrapped. I think it's a single transaction that you pay a little bit more gas on the front end, and then the scheduled transaction costs much, much less gas. It just kind of like is part of the order book. So it costs gas, but it's not that much. Like even a transaction on this blockchain cost like less than a penny in gas to begin with anyway. But yeah, it does cost a little more gas than just a swap. Because you're like broadcasting the swap and the schedule and the like contract to hold the money in the until the schedule ends. You can see I've actually done some scheduled things here, and then you can terminate them too. Like this one here, I canceled before it executed. But that's really cool. The other thing I feel like that's worth mentioning is a yield DCA. This one, for example, you can take your V dot, which is kind of like similar to LS Wax, but for Polkadot. So this is like liquid staked Polkadot. But you can take that here and then stick it here for a month, for example, or 6 months or something, and then use the yield that it's generating. So you know how it's automatically earning itself yield. This will make it so that the yield that you're earning from it buys into HDX or buys you into Bitcoin. So like this is another really cool, I think, like innovative way to create a much more complicated trade strategy, but again in a DeFi platform directly from your wallet. And then of course you have the OTC market. This is just like limit trading where you can set like limit orders, which is also really cool. Instead of it being a continuous order book, it's just an OTC order book. And then they even have bonds, which we don't really have to go into. The main thing I really think that this DEX does really, really cool that other DEXs don't do is they own a good amount of the liquidity available here. So when you look at what you can actually trade on this DEX, there's 45, let's say, $1 million worth of liquidity. You can see how it's split up. You know, the in HDX, for example, there's not that much actually. Only like about 1 million of that is in HDX. Let's go back to stats. I clicked on the wrong thing here. But either way, you can see how that's divided here. There's $12 million worth of Polkadot, 2 million of ETH. You got like these Bitcoins, like deepish liquidity for quite a bit of trading here, especially if you're trading like a couple $100 at a time. And then if you go to the treasury, you can see that the actual protocol owns all of this liquidity. So this DEX owns almost $3 million worth of HDX. It owns almost $3 million worth of Polkadot, 2.5 million in stable coins. You can see it currently owns like $1.5 million in surplus index. So this is just the entire liquidity pool. And then it even owns millions of dollars in staked liquidity in these pools and stuff. So the protocol owns all this stuff, and then you can come here and vote on how that stuff is spent. So for example, right now there is a vote going on that the treasury here uses the H2O tokens to buy back HDX tokens. So there's $1.5 million of H2O tokens, and right now it looks like the yeses are winning. If this vote goes through, then there's almost $1.5 million worth of buy pressure that'll come on to HDX, and you can participate in these votes. You can see I've actually voted on all these already. You can participate in these votes if you have staked HDX. So really, really fucking cool. I'm excited about what they're building. I think it's really interesting to see a DEX that not only builds out kind of innovative tools on trading, but then also and I didn't even touch on this. There's a whole money market here, so you can even lend out your USDC and borrow any of these other assets, like borrow Bitcoin. So you could even do like long and short leverage trading with over collateralized leverage on this, all from your wallet, all on this decentralized platform. So this is really I'm excited to see what this does moving forward. And I think the model of a DEX owning its own liquidity, I think, is the most innovative thing here. So again, of the like $45 million, 25 million of that is straight up owned by the treasury. And that means even if there's a liquidity run and everyone starts pulling their liquidity out of this protocol, $25 million of that isn't part of that crunch, and will always be available here for trading unless the voters or the shareholders, the HDX holders, decide to dump or whatever. This one's really cool. I have one other protocol that I would think is really exciting, but let's look at the press release that you found before we do that one.
Right. I don't know how official but it is CoinDesk, reputable source of.
Oh yes.
I mean, I don't know. They seem to be
They're actually like hit
more
and miss,
legit.
but
I also think like a lot of people, like I don't know, anybody can just post on this.
yeah.
Like I don't know if they have staff writers or this is like. Anyway, I'll just read this. But I mean,
Yeah.
from the sounds of this is no longer like a test and it's live.
Oh, maybe we have
I
to
mean, it says
try
it
it out.
goes live. That's what Sony's Layer 2 blockchain Sonium goes live. 78-year-old technology giant is the latest big name company to release blockchain using Optimism.
There we go.
Of somebody who's not named. It says
Mm-hmm.
the picture says Sony's Layer 2 blockchain goes live.
He's the guy.
He is the blockchain live. This is
He's the.
AI
That's
blockchain
Satoshi.
man.
He's Satoshi Nakamoto.
So, 78-year-old Japanese electronics giant is the latest legacy megacorp to explore blockchain technology. On Tuesday, the company announced that it is officially launching Sonium, a general-purpose blockchain platform. Well, officially launching versus launched.
Yeah.
It might not have officially.
Hmm.
Or like it might not be publicly live. Anyway, the team behind Sony Blockchain Solutions Labs (SBL), a joint project between Sony Group and a Singapore-based Startail Labs, describes Sonium, technically a Layer 2 network atop Ethereum, as a versatile general-purpose blockchain platform built to support a diverse ecosystem of gaming, finance, and entertainment apps. According to SBSL, the launch comes after a 4-month-long test period that involved participation from 14 million wallets. I mean, that sounds did launch.
Yeah.
Sony's network is yet more evidence that traditional technology companies might again be keen on blockchain's ability to connect and commercialize the future of media. The chain is aimed towards bridging the gap between Web 2 and Web 3 audiences, especially for the creators, fans, and community. SBSL said in a statement shared. The platform prioritizes user-centric design, simplifying blockchain interactions, evolving Web 3 from a niche hobby into an. I mean, on paper, that sounds good. Practice, that's what I feel like everybody's. That was also
Yeah.
sort of feel like, like Wax was trying to do with the cloud wallet and stuff. I mean, it was kind of successful at first, but obviously lost a lot.
Yeah.
Although Sony has a lot more IP they can work with to attract a Web 2.
Yeah, that's true.
Team tapped Optimism's OP stack to build out their network. Customizable framework that lets developers use optimistic rollup technology to transact on Ethereum quickly and at a low cost. Other companies using the OP stack include US crypto exchanges Coinbase and Kraken. Use the tech to power their popular base, and Ink. Not know Ink was a.
Hmm.
Know about Ink?
Uh-uh.
The Kraken Layer 2.
Oh. Oh. Oh, okay. I had heard about them, but I know it's similar to like what was the one?
Base.
Yeah, it's another OP stack one, but who's the other one? Qcoin also has their own one. Like
I like Kraken though.
I like Kraken more than Qcoin these days too, because they're like. But yeah, that's not a
Uniswap,
bad one too.
the leading decentralized exchange in WorldCoin. The CM Altman founded Digital Passport also power their. Uniswap have its own.
Yeah, Unichain is also in testnet so far. It's not coming out yet. Although that's another one I should say. I'm pretty excited for Unichain. Everything Uniswap does is worth paying attention to.
The article's been.
Yeah.
In many cases, the Optimism Foundation, which stewards the development of the OP stack, has awarded grants to companies that agreed to use its tech. SPSL declined to comment on how many OP tokens they would receive as part of the deal, but previous reporting indicates Optimism's grants can be.
Oh,
I mean,
they
I feel
definitely
like
are.
that on blockchain that should. You'll be able. I don't know if you can track the Optimism Foundation wallet, but I feel like you can very much see
Yeah.
events pop.
Yeah, you will see that eventually. For what Buzzking's saying, I would add. Buzzking says everyone wants to make their own chain because they don't want to use existing reputable chains. When you build on an Optimism stack chain, you're building on top of Ethereum. So these are all chains that are building on top of Ethereum.
Yeah, that also makes sense. Like, you want any sort of centralization and power over your stuff. That
Yeah,
I actually think this is the way to do it. More than
yeah,
like
it's so,
your
I do
Sony,
too.
like
I think
wouldn't.
so. What this is in a nutshell, this is basically, you know, independent protocols and then obviously big companies like Sony spinning up their own side chains on top of Ethereum. So this is, I would say, a vote of confidence in Ethereum more than it is an indication that people want to use their own chains or don't trust existing chain infrastructure.
Also, like the reason they do this on Ethereum instead of Wax is because this paragraph here in August 2023, Coinbase received up to 118 million OP tokens worth $182 million at the time, or $192 million at today prices. Use the OP stack
Yeah.
for base chain. So it's like,
Yeah.
why would you come build on Wax when you can make $180 million to go build on?
Yeah.
CoinDesk also reported that Kraken received up to 25 million OP tokens worth roughly 100 million when it agreed to use the stack. That's a way different. Crazy how those numbers work. Like, the price was higher in January 2024 and just crashed when the article was. It went down by like.
Yeah.
They said it agreed. Okay, that was a year. In 2024 and 25 is like, did it lose 50% of its value in like 1 month? Over a year. Similar grants are doled out by Optimism competitors like Polygon and Arbitrum, each of whom is dueling to build its own interconnected web of blockchains. And Wax is also working on the tech to make sidechains. They announced, I think last week we went up roadmap, and they're also working on EVM. So like Wax is trying to do the same thing, but kind of went back to me.
Yeah.
Who's going to build on it when people are getting paid $100 million to build elsewhere? Like, why would you
$200 million?
But
I get a bunch of OP airdrops still. I feel like you get airdropped OP constantly if you're being a degen, Walter. Every now and then I'm like, where did this come from?
So this kind of like was the criticism. This article is weird as shit. Like the protocol Sony launches blockchain to controversy. And it has like shit about bubble maps, which I don't know what the fuck that is. Why is this in this? Read the part that has controversy. While Sony's blockchain tech has attracted eyeballs over the past week, not all the attention has been positive. In the first couple of hours of Sonium's launch, some X users complained that the network blocking meme coin trading, leading to allegations that the ostensibly decentralized network was censoring certain kinds of transactions. Big no-no for some crypto. Controversy underscored unavoidable tension between hardline blockchain ideals and corporate interests. The incident also showcased crypto's resilience. Some savvy blockchain users found a workaround, allowing them to force through transactions to the base Ethereum. Sony's alleged transaction blocking. I wish there's more on that. To me, that's interesting. How did they do? So I guess people are trading meme coins. Sony's also, I guess, like.
Oh, yeah, I'm gone.
I'm
in.
Yeah, I guess. Similar to, I guess, like what Taco did. Taco, they don't like your account, just block you from sending their tokens.
Yeah.
Sounds like Sony is trying to do that and failing, but I also like, again, what I was saying earlier, like large companies want to be able to control their IP and do that, which is why like Funko has its own marketplace with centralized wallets, and I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I don't think if there's Final Fantasy on the blockchain, it needs to be totally decentralized. Like, I think Sony should have control of your wallet and shit if they want to. Like, I always think there should be the option to bridge to total decentralization, but even that, like, I don't know. Just using the blockchain, I think, is cool enough. And also, there's so many exploits and weird shit that, like, having control is not, especially gaming.
Yeah, it looks like Sonium has $21 million worth of liquidity on it.
That's that's already way more than Wax.
Yeah, I think Wax was. Let's see, what was Wax?
You want me to read about Kraken's Inc. Layer 2?
Wax is 1.3 million.
All right, I'm gonna read this too.
Yeah, and let's see. Let's see. Ink is at. Let's see. Is it
launched like?
Oh, it's already at 4.6. That's already 4 times what Wax is in liquidity.
This I know nothing about, but asking what's exciting for, like, more so than Pulse. I don't know what the fuck Pulse is. I know what Kraken is, and Kraken's trusted. I also, like, I've seen the founder of Kraken speak on podcasts, and I really, like, agree with everything. He's a very, like, well-spoken, good understanding crypto stuff.
Yeah, Pulse is like one of the more centralized, like, private-ish chains, but it has a shit ton of liquidity, like $500 million.
I just don't know anything about, like, I trust Kraken as a US-based crypto thing, and, like, the founder seems like a good person. Like, I know nothing about Pulse, so I wouldn't comment on it without knowing more. This guy was on he went on the H3 podcast, like that comedy podcast show I watch, and he spoke like they think all crypto and NFTs are a scam, and he was able to, like, talk to them like they're children and explain, like, why it's not a bad idea. And he used, like, World of Warcraft account trading, and then he also used, like, he's like, people in third world countries, like, their banks are corrupt and can't use banks, and, like, it also removes the age restriction. Like, anybody of any age can start saving and earning money, and, like, I don't know, he, like, just had a lot of points that were like, okay, yeah, this, like, he's well spoken, knows what he's talking about, and I think he's a great representative of crypto. So him making his own blockchain is something I appreciate over, like, you know, fucking. He seems more idealist and, like, than, like, the SBF types that are, like, clearly just kind of, like, trying to rip people off and make as much money and do scammy shit. Like, that doesn't seem to be what the Kraken guy, unless he's hiding it and very good at it. But, like, the way he speaks, I trust him. Him making a blockchain, I feel like.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's read about
this.
The team had originally planned for Inc. to go live in early 2025, so the launch of the main network is ahead of schedule. This was December 18th, 2024, which was my birthday. Happy birthday, me, 2 months ago.
Oh, yeah.
Kraken, the 7th largest crypto exchange, and that's another reason why I think it's always a big deal.
Yeah.
Anything that's backed by, like, stuff like this, not to say it's too big to fail, but, like, it's way less likely to fail than something that doesn't have, like crypto exchanges, assuming they aren't doing weird shit like holding all their earnings in crypto and then the market crashes. Like, like, the market goes up or down, they're making money. Like, when people are selling because they're panic selling because it's going down or whatever, they're always earning. So pretty like, assuming they're not mismanaging their funds, a bunch of the exchanges have done, and but assuming they're running their shit properly, like, kind of more bear market proof than a lot of things.
Yeah.
That it's the Layer 2 rollup network built on the top of Ethereum blockchain has gone live. The network, called Inc., is based on the OP Stack, a customizable framework that lets its developers. Team had originally planned early 2025, so it's Octopi? Octopuses? I don't know what do they have ink?
I think octopus do. Right?
Octopuses, is that
plural? This squid ink, right? Or is that just squids?
Says Kraken agreed to receive 25 million OP tokens worth about 58 million, part of the deal to build an OP stack. Optimism has acknowledged that handling our developer grants for decentralization building on the stack is a part of its strategy. Turn contributes back to the wider superchain ecosystem. Honestly, having Kraken and Coinbase building on stack is
Optimism's pretty solid. I mean, what's it called? Arbitrum is also part of that. Arbitrum, and they're all the Optimism stack is like,
and Uniswap
Uniswap's Unichain is built on
and
that
Sony.
Too. Pretty much the entire like ETH layer 2 DeFi system is built on the Optimism stack. Pretty much.
It's just the beginning for Inc. Now our boldest work really begins, growing Inc. Said Andrew Kohler, the founder of Inc. The boundaries of on-chain experiences to unlock new applications and opportunities. Privacy, security, and liquidity. That's cool. I mean, it doesn't really say a whole lot. I think these are kind of like announcements. So saying like happening on the chain yet, but also it's so young. Like a month and a half into the birth of the chain is pretty new, and Sony's been out for less than a month, so things to look into. Maybe we can dive into it more, like do some research on our own. But
I'm into it.
Sonium is probably the most exciting for me right now, just because Sony actually has properties that I'm interested in. They're doing Sony-based IP and games on their blockchain. Way more likely to play that than anything currently on Wax or really anything on any chain. Neon Heroes and stuff is cool, but the people making that haven't made fucking Final Fantasy 10 times and super sick games. Although I don't think that's like anytime soon going to be launching on Sony. Like they're definitely going to like launch less beloved IP to test stuff, I think, before.
Yeah.
We'll see. Still exciting that a major name. I think it's going to do better than the GameStop NFT marketplace. I had to put a wager.
Yeah. I would say probably.
That was definitely just a cash grab. Like GameStop did well during stonks. Now there's like a NFT hype. Let's just for no reason make a marketplace that's not any better than any of the existing marketplaces in a sector we have no like.
Yeah. They shut that down pretty quick too.
Yeah, I mean it makes sense. We've even seen on Wax, like you can make a marketplace. That doesn't mean people.
Yeah, definitely.
So much competition in the crypto space. Kind of have to offer something. I also have the giveaway up, !Neon, if you want to join this.
Yeah, let's see.
A lot of exciting stuff though. Kraken chain live, Sony chain live.
Yeah, all this is in the last like few months too. So like a lot of this stuff is still like the amount of development in the kind of crypto sphere is not slowing down. I think there's a lot of like upside still in this space.
Interesting. I still hope the market recovers. We never saw our alt season. If the crypto enter a long-term bear market without alt season, that'll be kind of shitty.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do with all this Wax I've been holding on to for fucking 4 years? It doesn't spike.
I want to move some of it to this like Hydra or something.
Kraken has a crypt tag now. You can make your username like Neon or BuzzKing. That instead of the vault address. That was like
that's dope.
The only reason I got into Redcoin back in the day. I was like, what?
Yeah,
and then they never fucking did it. So that's also another reason why I love Wax, is because I have like the Lewis wallet name.
Yeah.
That's so like, or just like the average user, that's such a big deal. Like people don't want the fucking Ethereum hash wallet name. That shit sucks.
Right.
So that's cool that Kraken does that.
It's funny. A friend that does like one of Paul's improv shows, he has the what's it called, the Venmo handle @improv, because he like snatched it like right when Venmo went live. Yeah. It's really funny when they
I feel
take
like you could maybe sell that to someone.
right. Yeah, I mean that
Problem
was
is
definitely
improv
part
doesn't
of
really
the.
make.
No, yeah.
There are though. There's reputable venues for stand-up comedy called the Improv. Like, so like I feel like that's where you sell it. But also I don't know. They're probably not paying people.
Yeah.
I don't know though. A lot of comedy I think is still kind of like shady under the table stuff. Like smaller clubs.
Definitely. But then I don't know if you'd want such a
not Venmo still.
Yeah. I don't know if you want such a recognizable name either.
I saw people were commenting William Quigley finally talked about Wax again for the first time in like years.
Oh yeah? What did he say?
I didn't listen, but he did it on like the Blockchain Heroes dudes podcast. So there's like, it's how out of touch that guy is that he thinks those guys are still relevant when they've basically been like based off of Wax for their last project. They're just like, it didn't sell well enough, so we're just throwing in the hat, not going to do any of the shit we said we were going to do.
Yeah.
And then they try to compare their stuff to like finding like a Mickey Mantle rookie card or something. It was like the most delusional like blog post. But yeah, he went on their podcast. That's what I saw. So Blockchain Hero. It's not even Blockchain Hero. That's their project. What is the podcast? I don't think those guys even do Wax anymore. Yeah. Bad Crypto. Which once upon a time we were on. Before we knew those guys sucked.
Yeah, it's hard to know that just going in.
I might listen to it, but it also seems like I don't think William Quigley even knows what's going on with Wax, and I don't think the Bad Crypto guys do either. So it sort of feels like, the blind leading the blind, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
I'm in all the fucking I'm in the chat where the Wax team talks to the blockchain producers and shit, and William Quigley's never been in there, so I don't.
Yeah.
And he always just goes and talks about Tether too, whenever he's on interviews, which I still don't even believe that he's as involved with Tether as he said he was. Because if you literally go to Wikipedia and look at the founders of Tether, his name isn't mentioned in the Tether article once. There are a bunch of names. When it says he's the co-founder of Tether, I'm like, according to when you Google William Quigley Tether, they're all interviews where he says he's it's all from his mouth. It never comes from any other sources that I can find. And I tried to deep dive it, so I don't understand how he's even involved with Tether. He uses that whenever he goes and talks on Fox News or whatever. And then also he's only been talking about Bitcoin lately. He hasn't mentioned Wax. This is the first time, which is why people have brought it up. He's mentioned Wax in years. So it's I don't think that dude is involved at all involved in Wax. I think he's only talking about Wax because he was on a show, former Wax creators. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he is in the background doing shit and then just never talks about it publicly, which would be weird because he's supposed to be the representative of the blockchain. So
yeah, who knows? Very strange.
Well, I am curious what he said about it. I mean, I'm sure.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
Yeah, Wax is still the best, but actions speak louder than words. Show us some shit.
Right.
Show me what you got. You want to look at next?
I was poking into some of the this is the stuff on Sony's network, Sonium, live on Sonium.
I think it's funny that people immediately complain they couldn't trade meme.
Let's see what the tokens are: Wrapped ETH, Tether, Stone, Aster. That's a different blockchain. I don't know what this ARCAS is. Here's some more Aster. Wrapped staked ETH, wrapped Bitcoin. Yeah, okay. So it's looks like there's $57 million of volume against $6 million in liquidity. So you can probably make some good money liquidity pool farming here. Here are the pools. Yeah, look at that. ETH and USDC.E, which would probably be USDC bridged over from Ethereum mainnet. 300% APR. Ooh. I wonder how it's calculated though, because it's it's a concentrated pool. But they do have 43% on stable coins, so that's pretty solid. It looks like it all comes from the fees too, so that's just because it's a new ecosystem. Clearly, one you could participate in if you're so inclined. Looks like there's a bridge into it through either Aster, Rhino Finance, or Superbridge. I'd probably do Aster because I'm most familiar with that one. Let's see, then there's a money market.
Called Sake?
I guess so. Rewards.
Sony's Japanese, right?
Yeah. I mean, they don't have their own token on this, so. Oh, I guess Sony, there is a token here.
Or if that's like.
Yeah, or if that's like maybe this money markets token or something.
It is.
Either way.
I think that's probably.
The way you can.
It could be like.
Oh.
I guess the S would probably. That's not Sony SONY, it's SONE.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know. It
So
says
those
Sony,
are.
man.
Yeah.
Not the token. Is that a token?
That's the name of the blockchain. So we were looking at. Oh, wait, is this the one?
I definitely think this is exciting, though. Like, as someone who
Right.
got into blockchain for blockchain games, Sony having its own blockchain is kind of massive news. Crazy adoption since when we started. Like, you think about what it was like. Pretty much no AAA game publisher would ever consider blockchain gaming in like 2020 or whatever when we started doing this. It was like very niche and fringe, and now it's like Sony has its own fucking blockchain. Look out! And then you never know. Like Microsoft might want to compete, and then that's when you start getting like real fucking games, real developers on the blockchain. If Sony and Microsoft had a blockchain war, that would probably be the best thing that's ever happened to blockchain gaming.
Yeah, for sure.
Can dream.
Let's see. The last one I'm excited about right now is this Derive platform. It's show you can. It's an options and perpetual market, so you can trade. Like you can see the stats of it here, but you can basically trade ETH and Bitcoin options, or ETH, Bitcoin, Sol, AAVE, and a bunch of different like token as just perpetual futures, where a perpetual future contract lets you go long and short. So you can either be holding long or short those positions, or if you go to options, for example, you can buy and sell 0 DTE options, 1 DTE options, and then options that go all the way out to September, end of September. And you can buy and sell them, and then you can sell and trade them after you've opened positions. This is a very solid protocol. I think if you check out their what is it called, their stats, it's pretty impressive what they've done. $12 billion worth of volume already, and they have a partnership in the works currently with ENA. I think it's called ENA.
Monoswitch is asking, I wonder what a company like Sony does for nodes and verifications. Honestly, I haven't looked into it, but I mean, they have to have. You'd probably know more. Probably works the same with any of the Arbitrum. I think as you have blockchain.
Yeah, exactly, because it's the Optimism stack, but it's possible that they like run it, with like private network of validators with like you can participate, but there's like a core network that they fund themselves, and that helps keep everything running and keeps everything cheap if it's subsidized by Sony. I think that's the whole like kind of concept also, so that they can stay in control of everything. I wouldn't be surprised if it was a very centralized network of validators, but I haven't looked into it, so I can't.
I mean, it's built on Arbitrum. So like the core tech was already developed by Arbitrum, developed from the ground up. We were talking about it a
Yeah,
bit
the
earlier. You might
Optimus.
have missed
It's
it.
by from Optimism, the Optimism
Optimism, sorry,
stack, which
not
is it's developed by MIT. So it's like it's a big business like piece of infrastructure already that it was like deployed from.
yeah. So it's like
And
a
the Optimism
side chain.
stack can yeah, you can spin that up with just ask for everybody to participate from a community, or you can spin that up where your company is like the ones who are running the majority nodes and everything. I think it's most likely the latter option, but
They
I'd have
also
to take a look.
did in that article we read. They did say they have a partner that's like. Let me see if I can pull up that article. It's not just Sony. Like Sony partnered with Sony Chain. Ledger Insights, is that different than?
Hmm.
It says the team behind Sony Blockchain Solutions Labs (SBSL), which is a joint project between Sony Group and Singapore-based Startail Labs. The Startail Labs would be your like they're the people they partnered with that know shit about blockchain. I know nothing about Startail Labs, but it's definitely not like
Yeah.
they're working with people. It's not like internally someone on the Sony team is just like I'm gonna handle all of this by myself. Video game guy.
Yeah. But it is exciting. I would pay attention to it now as it kind of like continues out. This is the other one that you're asking. Any other ones? This is like its own blockchain as well now, where it's the platform for trading all this stuff. You can deposit to it from Optimism Base, Arbitrum, or Ethereum mainnet, and then you can deposit, like US dollars, USDT, ETH, and then a bunch of ETH derivatives. And then if instead of like participating in actually like active trading, you can just come to their earn options here and you can participate in like automated options strategies like this one here, which is like 21% on ETH. So it's basically like adding ETH to this position, just ETH one-sided, climbs in terms of ETH at a rate of like 21% APY by covering option contracts on a weekly basis, I think. So you can like do that for Bitcoin, ETH, US dollars and stuff on the put side. And you can see the APRs are
This is
pretty
its
high,
own
I think,
chain.
over 20. This is like Derive is like its own chain. Like DRV has its own chain. And then you can withdraw from and like deposit to it from all the like Optimism stack basically. So this is another like side chain, and it only exists in order to make these like trades. So when you trade like buy, sell, long, short Bitcoin, ETH, or any of these other options, there's no gas fees here. So you're like deposit like $100 or whatever USDC, and then you can trade like all these tokens long and short and stuff without having to worry about paying gas, which is really cool. And then so the thing I was excited about is that they have a partnership with ENA, where ENA is like let's see, it's like the EUSD, if you've ever seen that one. Let's see, I pulled it up a second ago. Here, EUSD is a stable coin that's backed by like covered options trading, mostly on Binance. And ENA is like the DAO that manages it, but they manage like $6 billion worth of liquidity in stable coins and use that to cover options and then generate like 12 to 20% or something APR doing that. And then there's ways to stake the USDE to earn the APR. But either way, part of their DAO's proposal was to take some of their $6 billion off of Binance and use the Derive platform to cover options. So like do their same strategy, but in this option market. So it's a DeFi diversification for the DAO. And since the DAO is worth billions of dollars, if they added like, I don't know, 10% of that's $600 million. And if you look at the current activity on here, activity and stats, you can see that with $150 million they're already doing like a crazy amount of volume and stuff. And so I think if ENA does, right now they're in a stage where like the DAO has a like a security council doing an audit of this platform, but if that passes, then they're going to allocate some of ENA's, USD E like collateral, which is backing their stablecoin, into this platform, which will increase the volume, increase the volume of the platform, and the also just decrease the spread, increase like the ability to trade all these assets from here, which is just positive all around, I think. And so I'm excited to see if that passes their audit and gets onboarded and stuff. So that's another little DeFi thing. And then I guess lastly, we should make some moves with our DeFi wallet, since I think we're running out of a couple things here. It looks like if I go to farms, it looks like so right now I'm back on Wax, and it looks like our Rook LS Wax position only has 2 days left. And I'm a little bummed because now our LS Wax LSW position has 1 day left, so we couldn't restake it today because I guess they were slow or offset it somehow. Weird. But yeah, and let's see, we got a good runway for the rest of this stuff, and we're still at 373%. So this did relatively well, I think. So let's go through and finish up here with our DeFi moves for the week. First thing I want to do is claim all these rewards. Let's see. There it is. Success. And a little slow there on the wallet. And then the next thing I want to do, I only have 2 days left. I think I'm going to unwind the Rook's LS Wax pool because I want to use these tokens to farm more rewards. It's not a comment on losing confidence in Rook or anything like that. It's just that I want to make sure we're earning rewards, and those rewards end in 2 days. So I'm going to remove this liquidity. Let's see. It's gone. And then the rest of these I think I want to keep, but I want to say claim all the rewards from the farm. So up here, claim rewards. Looks like I got a little bit of woof coming in again. Looks like I actually claimed them all when I unwound that liquidity. See, this is just starting to tick up again. So let's see how much we got. I think we started, with about 50 wax in our FTW pool. And I think we've been earning 370 something percent on that. We should cash some of that out.
Oh, there's an article that went up recently about Faded Monsoonta.
Damn. Yeah, look at this. I got almost 4 wax on 50 wax in 1 week. And then I have to check how much is the liquidity still worth? Is it still worth 50 wax?
Going through the wax to see if there's any cool new announcements in there. Like NFT Battle Miner started a new season, but I've been pretty out for a while. Zombie Coin had an update. Faded Monsoonta is the one that popped up. Right. I like that guy. He's a fellow wax streamer. I saw him for through Immersis, playing Immersis. Well, started his own collectible project and then turned that into a trading card game. Kind of cool to see for someone from going from content creator to artist to indie game. Build something around their collection.
Let's see, it would be 2 times this is what we have in the pool. Yeah, we still have exactly 50 wax in our pool. So we made about 3.9 wax this week. Let's see. Going back to our pools here. it looks like we're out of range for this one here. So let's unwind this. We have mostly LS wax in this. I'm going to remove the liquidity entirely. And then since we just pulled from our Rook wax pool, and I'm not entirely sure if I want to like dig through and find something new. So let's just take this liquidity and add it to our LS wax LSW. So it just stays as wax for the coming week. Unless there's a USDC pair that we could pair with wax and maybe trade that in case the markets do turn more south. USDC. Let's see. USDC FTW. But no wax. USDC, can I say wax? No. Okay, then I will just go stick it in as wax USDC. Or wax and LSW, LS wax. Okay, so I'm going to go new position. First one here, I'm going to open LSW. We'll go LS wax with the second half. This is all we had left from that one. I'm going to drop this range super tight. First, I just click the +5. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. And now what I want to do is set this so that the liquidity depth is lopsided so that I can do 39 against like as close to 456 as I can get. So I'm going to kind of tighten this range down on one side. And I think that was the wrong side actually, because now I need even less of this one. So I want to do that on the other side. So let's put this one, let's say to like.
Are you going to make any moves based on predictions of the crypto market, or are you waiting to see what happens? Are you going to move into stablecoins at some point?
I am waiting to see what happens a bit, but I do want to right now kind of like, yeah, you know what? I should do like half of this into stable coins. I think since I can't participate in the farm this week anyway, because the timing is too off, I think what I want to do is just swap like 50-50 wax and wax USDC. Because that way I can get more wax on the way down if we do continue moving down, and the market does look like it wants to do that. So let's do that. Actually, that's a better idea. You're actually right, because I do expect it to kind of move down for the coming week or so, especially with the uncertainty in the whole macro picture there, with all the like tariffs and trade wars breaking out, people like retaliating, and I don't know. It's all a big mess. So first I'm going to swap everything to wax, and then I'm going to swap half of that into USDC. There we go.
I'm still hoping this is just a bump in the road and we see bullish, because I mean, Bitcoin didn't really hit the target that you thought it was going to hit either yet.
No, not yet. And it also hasn't pulled back enough to like flip the sentiment short. It's just volatility building up that base for the next move up. But I do think the bottom of that base can be still a little lower, and if that pain point gives us a chance to like re-enter lower next week, that might be the move right now. We'll try for it. Let's see if it works out. We can always buy back if we're wrong. Here it looks like 480 wax. It's nice to see. This is just those, like we still have our other LPs open, but with just these, we're already sitting on like 500 wax, considering we started with just 100. No, that's true.
Although our goal has always been to earn more wax, not more US at a certain point. Most people are trying to increase the monetary value of their positions more than just accumulate tokens that are worth nothing.
That's true.
Well, I mean, it sounds like you kind of have that.
Yeah, I'm
I
gonna
might
finish
do a
doing that.
giveaway while you're just doing
That sounds great.
the
Yeah,
nitty
so I'm just
gritty.
gonna finish. So all I'm doing is swapping with the rest of our token positions into Wax USDC liquidity. Even if there isn't a yield bearing farm for it, I don't mind.
Kind of wait out the
Also, looking at
volatility.
when we bought our 100 wax too, it was worth 100. It was worth $10. Now, just the wax that I have here is worth $19. So we still did okay, but it would be nice to see wax not bleed to death.
Wax recovered, we'd be doing really well. But
Yeah, exactly.
see, all right. Last call! Exclamation point neon. If you want to. Okay. Then I want to quickly go over the faded Montuta article that I found, and then
Yeah. Went over a bunch of different DeFi chains today. Still a lot of cool shit happening still in crypto.
definitely worth checking in on the Ink chain, checking in on Sonium now,
Sony.
Base.
Yeah.
So much cool stuff happening. I do think we should try to not only look at DeFi, that other stuff happening, because as you said, DeFi is pretty niche, and like I think it was Rock Metal that I was saying, it was like, I don't know which of these chains is going to be successful. Is that BuzzKing that said that? Yeah. And I think like as cool as the DeFi tech is, like if a chain like Sonium is launching Sony games, like that chain is going to survive more than like a chain that's maybe exclusively DeFi, because DeFi is kind of like the new hot thing is where all the liquidity moves. So like I feel like so quickly a DeFi chain can lose, or like one exploit can fuck the whole chain. Whereas like even if there's an exploit on Sonium, like if they have AAA blockchain games built on it, the chain's not going to just go away overnight. Whereas like something like Harmony One, which was a great DeFi chain and had so many great opportunities, like one exploit basically just killed the entire DeFi of the chain. So I feel like exploring things besides DeFi kind of like validates the chain into being more legitimate than just DeFi. Cause, I don't know, or even like like ViperSwap. ViperSwap kind of died before that. ViperSwap like was a great product and great opportunity, but it's like they just launched a bigger, shinier DeFi Kingdom and shit, then everybody moved all their money from that to the other one. And like, I don't know, those things can tank so fast that I feel like it's nice to look at things that have other stuff being built on them.
Yeah, it's often not even about having the best thing as much as it's about having the newest thing.
Yeah, because I mean the meta has been reward a token to have people move their liquidity, and then either once they run out of tokens to reward, or that token they sell so much of it because people are selling the rewards it becomes no longer as good of a deal to earn a token elsewhere that everybody just moves. And like, people are sort of trying to figure out longer term strategies that mitigate that, but like that's still kind of the meta. Like people are going to go to wherever the APY is, and like you can't have crazy APY forever, and then somebody is going to launch some new shit with crazy APR, and then people are going to move over there. I do think having other stuff built is definitely important. I think Base is like a great example of that, where like Base does have good DeFi shit, but then they also have solid NFT projects and new ones, and like it has a whole ecosystem. It's not just one thing.
Yeah, exactly.
As much as I hate to say it, Solana is also kind of in that, like, I didn't want to like Solana. I still don't want to like Solana, but Solana is a very legitimate, like Neon Heroes is built on there. That's one of the best NFT games I've played. So like they have legitimate products on their chain, and I think that's like sort of the
winner.
Max 1, which means JR is our prize winner. Max gets the glory. I think
glory, baby.
I think having like other stuff is important, because DeFi is always going to be kind of niche.
Yeah.
If you want something, especially like something that you want to like not have to be worried about week to week, because I feel like with a lot of the DeFi protocols, like they can lose value so fast when they lose value that like if you aren't just constantly checking it on the ball like you are, like you can get wrecked.
Yeah.
Whereas like, I don't know, even if it like hasn't done as great, something like Mythical Chain or like holding the Myth token hasn't been the best, but like I believe in that for more of a longer term vision of having stuff besides just buy or whatever. Like, I don't know, I like projects like that where it's like, yeah, like I think they'll be building stuff for years, and the value isn't just like 100% based on like crazy rewards.
Yeah.
I haven't checked Myth lately, but I don't think Myth's been doing great. I mean, nothing Layer 2's. Everything just got wrecked, but even before
Yeah,
that,
it did.
like, I think it was at like 30
Really.
cents, 30, 40 cents for a long time. Did I send JR talking?
Mhm.
I think we should have Faded Matsuta on here. We haven't done like a wax
Oh,
creator
that'd be
interview in
fun.
a long time, and yeah, I did send it to. Let's look at this. I'm gonna open a new form. This will probably be the last.
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to remember. Like, it's back. It's been like at least a year, I think, since Versus died. So the fact that I met this guy online before Immersive.
Yeah, for real.
Also, like, never originally like he just was a wax streamer that did giveaways and like playing with people, and he was playing other games. So like he would give away his own NFTs as prizes, and I think he did buy stuff, and then ended up like turning the prizes he gave away into a card game. So kind of like naturally evolved, and I feel like he kind of like under promise over delivered, which is rare for a wax project. And I also don't have the timeline of all this stuff perfect, and have not watched all the streams. So maybe he was promising all this stuff from the beginning, but I watched him. He's just like, doing Grubfish and Marble-esque giveaways and like out and playing wax games. Kind of cool to see him go from that to like making a whole thing. I feel like you have to try it because I don't do trading card games. Try it and let built a Eat a Monster trading
Oh, that's fun.
themed in a thing.
Yeah.
He says it's my FM. Is that Weed Monster? Yeah, this was published by the Wax team midway through last month. Wax team is also
Okay.
like in the private channel asking, hey, let us know what's going on with your project, and we'll boost it in the Wax Discord. This was legitimate enough that I published it. Cool. A world of gaming, few experiences stand out as truly original. So many games competing for attention, it's rare to find a project that blends the best elements of blockchain technology, Web3 based gaming, and unique in game ecosystem. That's exactly what Faded Matsuta offers. Weed Monster trading card game. Oh, now I understand. My brain just did. You said FM, Faded Matsuta. I was thinking like
Yeah.
Weed Monster. Typed F instead of. That just clicked in my head. That's how slow I am. Anyway, PhD off. Let's go. Weed Monster trading card game. Combining trading card game and blockchain technology isn't new. Weed Monster's approach to a fresh and original. This trading card game offers a unique, fun twist to the genre with wacky characters and innovative gameplay, allowing monsters to collect, trade, and battle with their Weed Monster trading card game. Exciting new dynamics and gameplay allow for deep strategy and creativity, such as front and rear card. Blend of collectible elements with emerging strategy system is a combination missing from many other blockchain games. Play
Uh-huh.
anywhere, anytime. One of the most exciting features of Faded Matsuta is its browser-based game. By utilizing Unity, Faded Matsuta can offer an immersive gaming experience without requiring players to download bulky software or purchase a specific gaming device. Creating a successful browser-based game leads to accessibility on desktop and eventually tablet mobile devices. This accessibility ensures that players anywhere can enjoy the game, easily connect with friends, and join in on the action anytime. Browser-based gameplay also opens the door for casual game experiences without compromising the quality or tons of unique collectibles. Gotta catch 'em all. Faded Matsuta features up to 200 unique collectibles, each providing value in-game and on the broader marketplace. While item or spell cards won't be found, there are over 150 unique abilities that these Matsuta possess, allowing for a wide variety of battle strategies and customization for the player. Not only visually hilarious, but also offering enhanced chances in tournaments and rank play, collecting all 200 of these wacky creations is a challenge all on its own. In addition to the usual collectible cards, Matsuta Card Sharks will be ripping open first edition Gen 1 Everything Pack, coming January 17th. Look for the highly exclusive 1 of 1 Neon Gen 1 card. Not only do these cards match the highest staking power possible in the game, but players that have this card will be the only ones able to equip it as a skin while playing the game. Talk about a true weed monster flex. That's fun. Everybody likes their rare 1 of 1.
Skins are great too.
Zero cost staking. Traditionally, staking in blockchain games often involves locking up assets and using resources for loads of transactions. Faded Matsuta staking system allows players to take advantage of staking absolutely free. This innovation eliminates one of the major barriers to entry that many new players face. Rather than using a player's resources, we track all Faded Matsuta NFTs. When a wallet is uncovered holding more than 5 unstaked NFTs, we immediately start tracking those NFTs and accruing balance for the wallet. No limit to how much one account can stake. This means that players can enjoy staking benefits and growth without worrying about extra steps or costs. This player-first mentality helps Faded Matsuta truly stand out throughout a game.
That is cool.
I'm not the biggest fan of staking, like in general, but
yeah,
kind of is like, to be honest, if you want to have any traction on Wax, why does everybody play the fish game instead of Grubfish? It's because it added staking, and like, staking is what attracts users to blockchain. So like, I understand it. People aren't playing games that don't have some sort of mechanism, but I also think it's mechanics good. I understand why.
I like the way they're doing it for this one though, so you don't have to do anything except for own more than 5. It sounds like.
Yeah. Faded Matsuta's Series A funding. The excitement around Faded Matsuta reached a new level with the acquisition of Series A funding. This milestone is crucial for the game's development. It provides the necessary resources to scale up operations, enhance the overall player. Faded Matsuta team is now positioned even more groundbreaking features, pushing the boundaries of what players can expect from gaming and blockchain. Series A funding is often seen as a critical period for startups to prove long-term viability, proving Faded Matsuta is poised to become a serious player in the rapidly growing blockchain game beyond. Definitely I'd ask them, like, they were the funding game.
Yeah.
I think it'd be nice to have him on.
Yeah.
Secondary fees equals supercharged prize pool. That's not enough. Faded Matsuta has committed all secondary market fees will be used toward funding the next tournament prize pool. Faded Matsuta, the community itself, plays an active role in supporting the growth of competitive play within the game. Every transaction that happens within the secondary market not only helps players collect unique NFTs, but also contributes to the next event. There's already over 7,000 wax saved up 2 months until. Each secondary market transaction, Faded Matsuta fosters a ownership, ensures that the tournament scene continues to thrive, creating a dynamic, sustainable ecosystem for collectors. That's a cool system.
Yeah.
Last paragraph. Don't miss out. Faded Matsuta is the most exciting new projects in the blockchain gaming world. Series A funding, no cost taking, and innovative TCG, hundreds of unique collectibles. Faded Matsuta pushes the boundary of what players can expect from a blockchain-powered experience. Commitment to reinvest secondary market fees into tournaments only adds excitement. Casual gamer, a trading card enthusiast, or someone interested in innovative blockchain games, Faded Matsuta has everything for everyone. Or has something for everyone. What are you waiting for? Could be something waiting. Faded Matsuta, right?
Nice. That's pretty dope. I'd be interested to find out more about that. I have to test it out.
Yeah, and it's been a long time since hasn't been much on Wax that's excited me for a long time. Not really a lot of new projects. So this one's not super new. He's been around for at least a couple of years, but like when I first heard of his project, there wasn't a trading card game or any even like mention of that. It was just like, hey, check out these cool like weed drawings, like 8-bit weed drawings I did.
Yeah.
He's giving them away to people for watching a stream, so cool to see it evolve. I'm also curious to like I don't think he's a game developer, so I'm curious. Like, it'd be fun if we interview him. How would you link up with people to build a game? And it's a pretty huge undertaking to develop an entire trading card game. Also, like, who is in charge of, like, how did you decide to balance stuff and like create all the things? I think he might have been like a Warsecond player and was an influence, but that's all stuff I could ask him and not speculate on.
All right. Yeah, I'd be interested to know that.
All right, last call for this giveaway, then we're going to end the stream. We just hit 2 hours. Hit the 2 HRs. Was going to walk, but I think it might still be raining outside.
Yeah, it was raining earlier.
You're trickling. I ain't walking in the rain, California. It's mostly clear. So. Okay.
Let's see.
Just be like rain falling down a gutter or something. I don't know. Figure that out after stream. Any chance you could help me with that collector book? Yeah. Maybe. I mean, right now is probably not the best time because stop and go do some shit. But I mean, just DM me again. I set up the collector book for Neon Space. It's also been a very long time since I said. You guys talking about a that book.
Oh, yeah. That lets you like track if you finished a collection set.
Yeah. Honestly, I have to figure out what wallet's even like allowed to do that. I guess I should say on the main.
I think so.
I haven't used Atomic Ovens. It's like the authorized.
Is it if you like modify collection or something? I think is where it shows up.
Yeah, but I'm not. I want to see what accounts are allowed to. I don't know which wallet sign into.
Oh.
I don't have access to the base NFT. Probably airdrop.neon. Where that used to be
so too.
Front page said all of the wallets. Some more in authorized accounts. Drop.neon.
Yeah.
And the Polish dog. 2 of my wallets. Airdrop.neon is more of a. But yeah, I wonder what. I just don't know how to fill. I guess I would need to know what you're trying to do first, what your collection is, but I can take a look at that really quick, maybe. Actually, no, let's I'll look at that on my own time. Unless other people want tomorrow, if that. All right, let's do this. I also have to poop. Drank a tea earlier, running right through me. Max died immediately. Rip.
Ugh, well, whatever. I won last time, so I died with glory. Glory.
Yeah, I guess I'd need to know, like, what are you trying to make a set for in your collection book? Collection book is for specifically set collection, not necessarily just showing off every people just do that on the template page. I believe it's also like editable, so if you fuck it up, like you can undo what you did. It's not like minting where you have one shot and once you click submit, like it's done. Like I was able to add new NFTs after I made the collection sets. Like, but also like if you do it by like rarity and schema, like it automatically adds Nuga 1. Congrats. But like when we mint a new
GG.
NFT in the rarity of our set, it gets added to the set book. Which is actually like, I guess it's not really an issue, but it can be an issue as far as like people are trying to complete a set. Like we mint an NFT that nobody has, then it says nobody's completed the set. But we usually do our snapshots before we mint the new NFT. Mitigate. We also need to make a new NFT.
Yeah, we do. I was just thinking that.
And our like somewhat soon anniversary coming up, but I feel like we should do another burn streak before we do our anniversary.
Yeah. Brainstorm on something.
At some point, I also want to do a meeting with Mark if he wants to stream.
Yeah.
So. Internal team meeting. It's been a very long time since you, Mark, Paul, and I have all met.
Yeah, we should. We should get back on.
Especially now, like Friday.
Yeah.
All right. Find somebody to. Thanks for joining. Replay of this will be up on both Twitch and YouTube shortly after, immediately on Twitch. We'll be streaming tomorrow for Off the Rails stuff. It can really be whatever you want. Hit us up if you send us videos or have random shit you want us to.
Oh, I gotta add some more.
Duck made a how-to, but it's a lot of coding and JavaScript. You shouldn't have to do any of that. Like Atomic Hub has a front-end interface for the set book.
Yeah.
It used to be very hard. You used to have to do it through the Blockchain Explorer, but like years ago, Atomic Hub made a front-end interface. So it's similar to like the NFT minting page where you can just type in like there's different categories. But
yeah,
I don't know. Hit me up in the DMs, Yuga, and I'll. You might just be missing like the right link to the right page for that. If you're trying to do it through blocks, that's not the right way. I'm going to raid into Yuga's streaming right now. Surprised you're listening to our stream while. Shout out. Raid into you.
Streamception.
Hope everybody has a fantastic Wednesday evening. We'll see you tomorrow. If you want any videos you want us to watch Off the Rails, we've almost caught up. So you can post them in the. So you're AFK. We'll raid into you if you're going shortly live. Raid into you anyway. If anybody's any videos, we were like 2 months behind, but we finally caught up. So if anyone wants to post any videos for us to watch tomorrow and react to, post them in the Off the Rails channel on our Discord. Otherwise, have a fantastic evening and peace out to everybody.
See you.
I'm excited about all the new blockchain stuff. Didn't know the Sony chain launched. I didn't know Ink existed.
Same, actually.
I didn't know that Uniswap was making its own chain. Like,
oh yeah, that one's coming.
As
soon.
bearish as the last week looked, there's some good news to look forward to.
Definitely.
Peace out, everybody. Stay safe in crypto land.
See you.